Well, welcome everyone. Today I'll be talking about more of an introduction to AI and some of the foundational concepts, including agents. So I wanted to start with some framing and open with this quote from around 10 years ago in 2016. So the quote was, we should stop training radiologists now. It's just completely obvious that within 10 years, deep learning is going to do better than radiologists. In 2026, today, we actually have a shortage of radiologists. And the point here is we can really spend all of our time speculating about the future. And even with the best of intentions and information available, we would probably still be wrong. So today's focus is really focusing on educating ourselves and understanding what AI is and what should healthcare providers like yourselves be considering when actually implementing it. And the second point of framing that I want to begin with is just two case studies. The way I think about AI is that it's a tool with no inherent positive or negative connotations, nor bespoke use cases. So, as an industry, especially in sensitive domains such as healthcare, we're really still figuring out the best applications and when AI works best. So to illustrate this point, I have like two case studies that I want to start with. And just as a quick note, I cite a number of studies in this deck with citations in the comments of this presentation, and I'm happy to arrange sharing the bibliography after this session. But to start on the left with this successful case. So in this scenario and this study, researchers took around 600 verified physician responses to patient questions on some public Reddit forum, Ask Docs, and they compared them with ChatGPT's answers to the same questions. The results were pretty surprising at the time. The chatbot's responses were preferred to the physicians around 80% of the time, and the empathy gap was even higher. Chatbot responses were rated around 10%, 10 times more likely to be empathetic or very empathetic. And on the right-hand side, this was a different study. They actually evaluated GPT-4 for racial and gender bias. In this study, of around 23% of the questions posed, the model gave different clinical assessments depending on the patient's race, ethnicity, or gender. It was 9% less likely to recommend advanced imaging for Black patients versus white patients. And it also created different vignettes that didn't necessarily represent the true distribution of the case in the medical field. And this really matters for education, especially as medical students and trainees increasingly use AI to learn. These biases can quietly shape how the next generation really reasons about patients. And it also compounds. Earlier models generate the training data for future models, so today's SKUs can get baked in tomorrow's systems. And really the takeaway that I want to land here is, again, AI is a tool. With the same tech, you can have opposite outcomes. And it's really important that as subject matter experts in your own fields, you're understanding the benefits and the risks when adopting a new technology. Okay, so jumping right into it, we'll start with some definitions. This is going to be like our shared vocabulary for the rest of the session. None of these terms are going to be new or surprising, but hopefully I can help provide some nuance on like the relationships between some of these words. So starting at the top with the most broad classification, artificial intelligence is like the broadest umbrella. Put super simply, it's intelligence that's created by a machine. Anything where a computer does something we'd consider smart, it counts. So in your world, you can think of programmatically triaging patients, for example, a rules-based system deciding who gets seen first. A subcategory here is machine learning. There are a bunch of different ways to define this. I have a quote on the slide. It's essentially the field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. The key term here is learn. Instead of a human writing out every rule or having a bag of heuristics, the system finds the patterns within the data. So a model that predicts the likelihood of cancer remission from patient data is learning from thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of prior cases and not necessarily following a handwritten checklist. And the next subcategory is deep learning. This is machine learning built on top of layered neural networks, which is loosely inspired by how neurons connect. The deep part just means it has many layers, which enables it to handle really messy and high dimensional inputs. An example of that, of what high dimensional means, is an image. And that's why these types of systems are often used for something like classifying radiology images as like cancerous or not, and classifying objects within images. The next category is generative AI, again, subcategory. And here's where we start to see the shift from classifying to creating. Earlier models kind of sorted things. For example, is this skin normal or is it abnormal? But generative AI produces net new content. So text, images, audio, etc., based on patterns in its training data. And this is a leap that made the last few years feel so different. And next we have large language models. And this is kind of what a lot of today's focus and a lot of the industry's focus is right now. And this is generative AI that specializes in language. So for example, when you go to ChatGPT and you're like, hey, summarize my email, that's a large language model, also known as an LLM, predicting text. And one call out here is that if you ever heard the term natural language processing or NLP, that's the broader field of getting computers to understand and work with human language. LLMs are, today's hot topic, but NLP also covers things like more traditional sentiment analysis or things like that.